Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Daze and welcome to this Smackdown review and opinions video. So I'm going to score this show 6.5. I think the first hour was good. Second hour dipped down. Jelly roll stuff, not for me, unsurprisingly. If you've seen Unseen or the watch-alongs, you'll kind of know my feelings on that. We will get to it. And I actually thought the way they did the segment was about as good as you could have done that segment. But we'll get to it. Wyatt 6 winning the tag titles. Great. I enjoyed that. I thought it was the best match of the night. But obviously, there is other things on this show other than that. So this is why the rest of the show kind of drags my score down, to be honest. The Tiffany Trish segment I thought was dull. Even with Naomi and Jade coming out, I still thought it was dull. Main event, I think, is one of the worst main events we've had on any of the shows this year. Like, really, if we look at all of Raws, all of SmackDowns, and compare them to the main event we had, this has got to be one of the most underwhelming main events we've had this year. So, really down on that. Not down on opening the show with LA Knight, but I didn't really feel like that open gave me a great deal. I didn't really feel like it did anything other than just set up the main event match, which might be all they were trying to do. But there's not loads to kind of take away from it, you know? So, and then we went into our first match, which was the women's match, which I think was a highlight still. So for me, that's why my score, you know, it increases my score. But ultimately, that match doesn't mean anything. That women's match, it doesn't mean anything. Like, it's just a way of advertising a match we're going to get on Sunday. I wish it had a stipulation. I wish it had meant something. But, you know, I'm still going to give it a bit of a positive because I enjoyed it, right? So even though it was meaningless and you could have skipped it, and if you missed it, you didn't really miss anything, it was still fine for what it was. I think the big plus here, honestly, is the Wyatts. That is doing a lot of heavy lifting for my score. Wyatts against Street Profits, really good match. You lot scored it great, 61%. Really enjoyed it. New tag team champs. The only question mark I've got around it is the fact the Wyatts cheated. Rowan got involved. And so that I thought was a bit of a down, only because I really like the Wyatts. I really like what they stand for. They stand for not being overlooked anymore and giving people opportunity. But we've just seen since they came back that they're now willing to kind of screw over good people in order for them to achieve their goals. And that is not where we were last year. That's not what the Wyatt Six were about last year, but it seems to be what they're about now. You know, they took out Motor City and Fraxia, good teams that have never wronged anyone. Then we, during this match, had Rowan interfere, and they cost the Street Profits, even though the Street Profits, to my knowledge, had not done anything wrong. So I do think it's a talking point. It's maybe not a big talking point. We'll have to see what the future holds, but that's just the little niggle that I've got kind of coming out of that match. It's no biggie. It's not a major problem. I really enjoyed the match, and I really like the fact the Wyatt Six are the tag team champs. But it would be remiss of me to not mention that when it feels like it's a pretty big talking point that we have shifted this group so drastically from last year. So, yeah, I enjoyed that. Alestair against R-Truth really short, but I kind of liked his little backstage thing that he did with Damien. Main event, as we said, underwhelming. You lot said was good, 91%. That's got to be one of the lowest scoring main event matches. And then, of course, you know, the other big talking point is the Jelly Roll thing. So let's just break this down. Jelly Roll does a performance, which I don't know that they had announced in advance. I believe we were in Nashville, which, you know, is going to be a very pro kind of Jelly Roll crowds. Fine. So we do this performance. Logan, out of nowhere, interrupts. And the reason why he interrupted was because he's sick of these outsiders coming in. Who do you think you are coming into the ring? It's so shallow because clearly this is what people say about Logan. So Logan saying it about Jelly Roll is just meant to annoy the fans, right? But it's so low-hanging fruit that, I mean, I did not get annoyed by it. I sort of rolled my eyes at the fact that was the direction they were going. I mean, I suppose you need some sort of reason for Logan to go after Jelly Roll, and so this is what they chose. They're going to have Logan say to Jelly Roll, who are you to come into our industry? And basically say to Jelly Roll all the stuff that people say to Logan. Some people might say that's clever. I think it's low-hanging fruit, and I kind of rolled my eyes at it. Then we had a little bit of back and forth between Logan and Jelly Roll on the microphone, but out came Randy to defend Jelly Roll, kind of saying the stuff that you would imagine. Who are you to say this? Who are you to have a go at him when you're the outsider? I mean, it is so basic, paint by numbers kind of stuff. If there is creative here, it's pretty basic creative. And so they get into it. Out of nowhere, Drew McIntyre attacks Randy. Then Logan jumps onto Randy, starts beating him up. That's when Jelly Roll has got a decision to make. Do I help my friend? Do I get physical? He does. Logan then gets out the ring, starts trashing all the instruments. I would say as a segment, even though the setup for this was really basic, the segment was still, what's going to happen now? What are they doing now? Like, even if you were rolling your eyes at it, you was watching something. We've said before, the worst show is a show where there's no talking points and it's just mid-matches, very little development in any storyline, nothing new starts, there's not much to have an opinion about, it's just mid. What I would say about this segment was that it was not mid. I think everyone had an opinion on it. I thought that it was done about as well as you could have done it. Like, from an execution point of view, I thought it was done really well, and actually people watched it and they had opinions about it and we were talking about it, and you've got to give it credit for that, right? If nothing else, you've got to give it credit for that. But I don't think this is the match that we should be getting at SummerSlam. I have no interest in Jelly Roll being in the ring at SummerSlam. I think that Logan coming out and interrupting Jelly Roll and the reason he gave was just a little bit low-hanging fruit, and it just was not the segment for me. But I've got opinions on it, like I just shared, and that's better than having a segment, say, like Tiffany and Trish, that was mid. I mean, there really wasn't much opinion to have on that. Two women in the ring saying a few lines back and forth at each other, and they just didn't really have a great deal to say. The build for that has been terrible. Even Trish says that last week's segment was boring, and I think she'd probably say the same about this week's segment as well. So at least it didn't fall into that trap, you know? So I'm going to give it a little bit of praise in that regards. But yeah, still not a match that I have got any interest in. And I wish we were doing something better with that segment, and certainly something better with Drew and Randy. And so, yeah, I think it all shakes out at like 6.5. It's really hard to put a number on that. It's really hard to kind of put that into a system and actually spit a number out. So I think this is why I'm going 6.5. I would not go up. If I was going to go anywhere, it would be down. It was okay as a show. I was not bored. Wyatt 6 do heavy lifting. I have opinions about the Jelly Roll thing. So I felt like I watched something. I probably got more out of the Jelly Roll thing than I did the main event. So, there's that. So, yeah, all in all, that's my thoughts on this show. So let's get to your thoughts and let's kind of see if we can end up somewhere. So John Elite said, didn't expect the Wyatts to win the tag titles tonight. Alestair is a heel now. I believe so. Jelly Roll Logan feud. No. Just no. I'm not a fan of the celebs taking spots away from talent. Anyway, I am so excited for this weekend. John Elite, shout out to you. Yeah, all day that news about Jelly Roll had kind of done the rounds. And honestly, it was pretty much unanimous that people were just not feeling it. So maybe after they see that segment, they'll soften on their opinion a little bit. because I thought it was executed well as a segment. But to be honest, I still don't think people are going to be that excited to see Jelly Roll actually wrestling, you know. Johnny says, nah. J Omega said LA Knight promo was a 6. Roxanne, Sol Ruca, Kairi, Alexa 7. Wyatt 6. Street Profits 10. Jelly Roll segment 4.5. Alestair Black Ron Killings 5. Tiffany Trish segment 5. Knight, Uso, Sikoa, JC 4. So even Jay's got the Jelly Roll segment better than the main event. And also same score, 6.5. Parkera said WWE just phoned this in. The Fatal 4-Way was the most enjoyable part of the show. At least with 3 hours, they had to do something. But now it's back to phoning it in with rubbish to average at best. So Parkera not feeling it and giving it a 3. Parker, Tiffy Time, said, I thought it was okay until Tiffy had like a 2-minute segment and no entrance for your champion who's about to defend her championship. Like, what are we doing? What are your thoughts? See you later. Parker, Tiffy Time, shout out to you. I agree. She should have had an entrance. But I also think she should have had something more to say. I really liked her line about, yes, you was a goat. I remember seeing your best bits on VHS. Like that VHS line I thought was really good from Tiffany. Really good. So you could say that to have just a very short segment and still be able to land some sort of kill shot, right? Some sort of headshot, like that is good. But I don't know. I need more. I need more coming out of the champ. I need more coming out of Tiffany. Like, I feel like it's her responsibility as the champion to make these segments as enjoyable as possible. You could say that the responsibility is on Trish, what with her being the experienced one, but I sort of feel like, you know, Tiffany's the champ and you make her the champ because you feel like she's ready and this is the sink or swim moment, you know? You're the champ, here's the belt, here's the ball, show us what you can do. And I put a bit more pressure on Tiffany in that situation. So I agree. Very little time, very little chance to do much. Certainly not going to be too down on Tiffany and Trish and whatever, because they didn't have a great deal of time to work with. But that segment was pretty flat. And their segment last week was pretty flat as well. And as I said, even Trish said last week was a boring segment. I think she'd say the exact same thing about this week. So you sort of look at it and go, well, who's going to make an attempt to actually make this entertaining then? Who's going to actually try and make this entertaining? And other than that VHS line, I didn't think there was much there. So yeah, should have got an entrance, definitely. But I think the bigger problem was that segment was just really flat. There's a theory that Tiffany should be turning heel, and I'm not down on that. I actually think Tiffany works really well as a heel. So I'm not down on Tiffany turning heel. So maybe we see that at Evolution. Not sure. Enzo said Black lost to Truth, Night in the Bloodline Vortex, Jelly Roll featuring Orton. What do I even have to say? Well, I think the Black loss to Truth is setting him up for Damian, and that's obviously a much better feud for Alestair. LA Knight in the Bloodline Vortex, I understand, but I think actually he's more kind of in with Seth, and, you know, I wonder what's going to happen there. I actually hope LA Knight gets the win on Sunday. If he does, I think that'll be pretty good for him. Jelly Roll, Orton, yeah, I understand. So Enzo, not crazy about this show. Kiki says 5 out of 2 or 2 out of 5. Brady said, I'm loving Alexa Charlotte partnership. The women's fatal 4-way and the tag team championship match were great. I'm so glad Wyatt 6 are tag champs. What a sad way to end SmackDown by building to Saturday night's main event over Evolution. So I agree. The end of the show was flat. But, I mean, we do still need to build Saturday night's main event. We can't just ignore it because obviously they want people to tune into that as well. So, and it's a big show with Goldberg retiring and everything. So I'm not down on them ending on a Saturday night's main event build instead of an Evolution build, but I'm down on what they ended with. I think, personally, they should have ended with the Wyatt 6, which actually would have been billed for nothing. That wouldn't have built any of the shows this weekend, which is probably why they didn't do it. But, yeah, that should have been the closing image, to be honest. That should have been how SmackDown ended. Would have been the better ending. Denim Chicken said 7.5. I enjoyed it a bit more than Raw this week. Love Wyatt's profit match, and I'm happy the Wyatts won. I don't read much into Rowan interfering, as I don't see them as being faces or heels. They got what they said they were owed. Main event fell flat, however, says Denim Chicken. Denim Chicken, thank you. Kofi Rollins Kingston said this was literally last year, and now Drew is feuding with celebrities. He deserves to be in the title picture. Same with Randy. Las Vegas Matt said pretty much a nothing show. It was a glorified pre-show for this weekend. I'm afraid I'm outgrowing WWE. It's becoming too much entertainment and not enough wrestling for me. NXT has 6 matches on a Tuesday. SmackDown has 3. I'm going to give it a 6. Logan, Drew, Orton, Jelly Roll. Shake my head, says Las Vegas Matt. Woopack said it was ass. HLB said SmackDown was great. Love truth, but having Black lose, in my opinion, was the wrong decision. Love seeing the Wyatts win. I know some people are debating whether they're faces or heels. I don't think they're either. They do whatever they want, like how Bray did, says HLB. MTA said Bray would be proud today to see his family carrying on his legacy. Elite Pro Wrestling Forum said it was a nice women's 4-way. All is right in the world. Wyatt's are tag champs. Jelly Roll segment was way better than expected. Great seeing Truth outsmart Black for the win. Main event was should have been the Wyatts. So 6.5, but 10 out of 10 for the Wyatts alone. Dean said SmackDown was okay. It's like a typical go-home show. Not a lot happens. I'm happy the Wyatt 6 are the new tag team champs. Love the HBK cosplay by Montez. Would like to see who is next for the Wyatt 6. Love the stream. See you tomorrow. Dean, thank you, my friends. Nicola Glenn Cross says it was okay. I would have thought you'd been more positive. Nikki Cross. Thought you would have enjoyed it more than that. What were your friends becoming tag champs? Sanan said, I think this was a pretty solid show. My highlight was Wyatt 6 winning the tag titles. Very well deserved. Jelly Roll segment was, I like him, but it was just unnecessary. I think I enjoyed the pacing of the show more than the actual show. 2 hours is perfect. So Sanan gives it a 7. El Patata, shout out to you, says 3/4 of the roster is being wasted. I can't care about Drew due to Jelly Roll. Julia already doing nothing, as expected. Kairi eating the pin, not shocked. Show was so bad, I knew Alestair was going to eat a roll-up pin, which he did. Wyatt 6 don't look like champs in general, and because of interference. Tiffany, Trish, and main event, no thank you. I'm good. So El Patata are really struggling. And honestly, I understand, because if you look at the kind of negatives, you can understand why people are like really struggling with this show. But if you are a big Wyatt 6 fan and you loved that result and you loved Alexa Charlotte, and maybe you are into Alestair and Damien and where that's going, and perhaps you really enjoyed the Jelly Roll segment, like, you can sort of see why people would be quite high on this show as well. So we are definitely seeing lower scores here. I think my 6.5 in comparison to a lot of you is quite generous. So yeah, I think it's hard to put a number on this one, to be honest. Wrestling's biggest fan said it was glorious. Ah, Chris Chris, how are you? Days not bad, 6.5. That's crazy, Chris. Me and you are just like, I'm starting to wonder if Chris is my burner account. Definitely the wrong main event. People will think that I look at Chris's comments in advance, and I don't. I don't look at any comments in advance. I literally just react to them as I read them. So, definitely the wrong main event. When we got something to finally write home about with the new tag champs, Wyatt's have done it in kind of a heelish way. I thought maybe they were going to become heels. I really wouldn't mind what to think. Days, good night. Chris, good night. Carl said, seeing all the jelly roll poop and an awful looking show advertised, I was planning on skipping. Then I saw Rox and Kairi were on, so I watched just for that, and then I turned off. Wyatts are supposed to be about justice making, liars pay, etc., and giving others a chance. Yet they cheat and they make it about them, says Carl. Honestly, mate, this is a different group. As like change has happened. This is not the group that we first saw coming in after Nightbirds. They have now changed their approach. There has been a shift. I think we have to accept that, understand that, and kind of go with that. Like this is a group that's just focused on them now. And okay, I mean, I can go with that. I can accept that. I can run with that. But yeah, I understand why people are like, hang on, what? This isn't what we were doing before. I do understand that. But I think when they came in and they attacked Fraxium and Motor City, that was a bit of an indicator that Summit had changed as well. Chanel said 2 hours is just enough. The Wyatts are now tag team champs. And R-Truth won. I'm happy. Just Joe said, I don't like Jelly Roll Logan at SummerSlam. But then again, when they're trying to stretch it out over 2 nights, they do need filler. Could that filler come from other wrestlers, though? Another, creative? I suppose that's the argument, isn't it? Uncle Howdy Dread said 10 out of 10. Everything has come full circle. I hope we get an in-ring promo. That would be good, actually, to get an in-ring promo. That's a good shout, that. Taker 1990 said SmackDown 7.5. Women's Fatal 4 was match of the night for me. Double Soul Snatcher was all time. Also, if I'm still banned from the live chat, I won't be able to interact. Shout out to you, Daze. Yeah, I don't know what's happened with that, but I did tag a message into William, who I don't know if William knows anything about it. I don't like people being banned in the chat. I've said it before, because it's so hard to unban people. So I'm hoping that maybe someone made a mistake, or I don't know if you were spamming, or if there was something that was said that was crossing a line. I don't know. I didn't see it. I'm hoping it's a timeout thing, to be honest, because bans are just a flipping nightmare. Jade said, who gives the tag titles to with some help? We do, said Jade Simpson. There was a little bit of help. Armando said, Days, hello. The Wyatt 6 winning the titles was the only great highlight of the night for me. Everything else just seemed so bland. The women's Fatal 4-Way was maybe the next best thing, but I'm going to go 6 in honor of the Wyatts. Oh, I love that. That's good. That's good. I should have done that. I mean, I did have a 6, but I added a 0.5, and I'm not sure why. I don't know why. But I did, and that's clever. So, Armando, shout out to you. Shakeem. What does that mean? The hell does that mean? I think Shakeem's hitting on me. I don't know what's going on. Shakeem, drop me a DM. Follow the Red said, good show. A lot pushed into 2 hours, but the commercials were out of control. We had 6 in the first hour in America, and I stopped counting after that. It really ruins the flow of the show, and it's hard to keep attention with constant breaks. So Follow the Red gives it 5.5. White Rabbit said Alexa won and the Wyatt 6 are the new tag team champs. Great start to a wrestling-filled weekend. Bray is smiling down for sure. Dark Phoenix T said this show sucked. They gave the Wyatts the titles. Who asked for Jelly Roll in WWE? I rarely don't rate low, but this was a strong 4.2. Shake my head. said Dark Phoenix Tees. Dark Phoenix Tees, shout out to you, my friends. Fox said LA Knight is one of the greats on the mic. Smith Saint said awesome. And it's Smile Saint. Ah, it looks like Smith Saint. Smile Saint. I will try and remember that. Smile Saint. I suppose that does work, actually. Smile. Yeah. I will try and remember that. This is just the beginning. The message will spread. Much love and appreciation, Daze. You are a goat in your own right. Thank you, my friend. Smile Saint. Thank you, my friend. Uncle Rebel said Wyatt's winning gold was just the icing on the cake for the show, but it should have been the main event. That's where cake belongs. That is where cake belongs. The show was a good show, but I would have put it in a different, completely different order, and it would have felt like a stronger show. So there we go. 7. Vic said it was okay. Felt miserable except for the tag match, but I am so glad the Wyatts weren't. How it happened might be questionable, but I don't mind the any means necessary direction. But I do agree, main event should have been that match. 575 to 6. Noah said, I enjoyed the argument of the SmackDown tag division backstage more than 80% of the show. Actually, Candice looked lovely tonight. So that might be why I gave it 6.5. The 0.5 might be Candice, you're right. Dante, not solo, said I'm gonna need to ask Kenny Omega for the lottery numbers soon. Okay. Raymond said, Daze, I thought SmackDown tonight was good. Matches were decent, and I'm very happy that the Wyatt Six won the tag team championships. Well deserved. But overall, the show was decent. I'm going to rate it 7.25. Shout out to you. See you Saturday for Saturday night's main event. See you then, buds. Channel Cook said, fun show. I saw a few matches that are getting set up for SummerSlam. Bradley said, hello, Daze. Hello, Bradley. We went to the show live, and I will admit there were a lot more cheers for the Street Profits than the Wyatt Six. Happy for them, but something is missing. Wow, Bradley. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. I would retweet it because it's interesting, but we've got a lot of Wyatt Six fans in our community, and they might just... You know what it's like if someone kind of has a bit of a bash of one of your favourites, you kind of feel the need to defend them. And I don't want your flipping notifications getting flooded with people trying to defend the Wyatt Six. I mean, I love the Wyatt Six. I love Bray Wyatt. I really want this to work. But yeah, I mean, I've said I don't feel like this is scratching the itch that the Wyatt Six were meant to be scratching. Like, for me, they're not meant to go for tag titles. They're meant to kind of tell us stories and creative, narrative, characters. There's a whole world that Bray's kind of created with Sister Abigail and all the puppets and the Funhouse and Alexa and the Fiend and Six and all of this stuff. And we've just sort of ignored that and gone, yeah, let's go for the tag titles, which is what every other team is doing as well. So for me, we're not playing to their strengths. We're kind of, you know, ignoring what makes this group special. But nice to see a QR code, even if it did just lead to their social media account where they'd already posted a video we'd already seen. But, you know, there's some stuff that's going on. And maybe now they've got these titles, we can get some promos, we can get some feuds. You know, they've basically got the whole tag division after them. So... yeah, I think we would talk about this on the watch long. Maybe it was just a case of let's just get them on TV. Let's get the plate spinning and let's go from there. So I agree. I understand. I wouldn't be shocked to hear that there was more cheers for Street Profits than Wyatt Six. Junk Wax Obsessed said, is it me or does Alexa and the Wyatts always show up in back-to-back segments of each other? John said, I think I fell asleep before you ended the stream. John, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to send you to sleep. Not everyone else, just you, John. Just you. And it seems like I did my job. Q Hicks said, I wasn't able to watch, but I caught the highlights. First solo on the mic, great. I thought the jelly segment was... I don't care to see the Tiffy segment, so I didn't. Wyatt's won, but with heel tactics. I'm very confused. I'm going to give it a solid 6 from what I saw. And there we go. That was everyone's thoughts, and we've clocked in on the half-hour mark, so love that for us. So, yes, don't forget we are back tomorrow with Saturday night's main event and Great American Bash. Back on Sunday with Evolution. Then we've got Raw, NXT. I mean, it is just absolutely non-stop. So, thanks a lot for joining us. Appreciate the support as always. Hope you enjoyed this video and hearing from the community. And I will see you again tomorrow. And, of course, we will do a review of Saturday night's main event. I don't think we'll get a chance to do one for Great American Bash, but we're definitely doing one for Saturday night's main event. And of course, we will be doing one for Evolution as well. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.